Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we are going to cover the current affairs. For mobile optimized ebooks, please install GKToday Academy App. Now, let's start. Recently, Supreme Court has asked the central government to consider the deployment of which force for guarding the various courts of India. Right answer is CISF. So recently, Supreme Court has asked central government to consider the deployment of CISF in the courts. Now, till now, local police provides the security to courts. Local police is under state government, while CISF is under MHA. MHA stands for Ministry of Home Affairs. Recently, CISF was also in news as CISF is celebrating 2020 as Year of Mobility. Apart from that, CISF was also in news as recently Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah instructed the Director Generals of all paramilitary forces to use khadi in their uniform. So now CRPF, BSF, ITBP, CISF, NSG and Assam Rifles are going to wear khadi uniforms. This will give a boost to the khadi industry in our country. The present Director General of CISF is Mr. Rajesh Ranjan. On 9th of January 2020, the birth anniversary of Dr. Har Gobind Khorana was observed. He won the Nobel Prize in Physiology in which year? So Dr. Har Gobind Khorana shared the 1968 Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine with Mr. Marshall Nirenberg and Mr. Robert Holley for the research that showed the order of nucleotides in nucleic acid, which carry the genetic code and code for the synthesis of protein. And in 1972, Dr. Khorana also created the first artificial gene. Now, if we talk about Nobel Prize, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, Literature, Peace, Physics, and in Physiology or Medicine were first awarded in 1901. And it should be kept in mind that all Nobel Prizes except Peace Prize are given by Sweden, while the Peace Prize is given by Norway. Now, Sweden was also in news as recently India is testing a Swedish technology, torrefaction. This is a technology that can be used to convert stubble into biocoal. We all know that stubble burning is a serious problem in our country, and therefore this technology can be a way out for this problem. With the help of this technology, the waste stubble can be converted into biocoal. Mr. Ashwani Lohani is the head of which airline? Right answer is Air India. So Mr. Ashwani Lohani is the current head of Air India. If we talk about factual information related to Air India, it started operations in 1932. The headquarters of Air India is in New Delhi and the present CMD is Mr. Ashwani Lohani. Now, why Air India was in news? Air India was in news as recently a group of ministers approved the proposal to divest stake in the Air India. Now, answer in comment box, what is the difference between disinvestment and privatization? And there is one more term, strategic disinvestment. This is your homework. Now, coming back to Air India. So, this group of ministers approved the proposal of disinvestment. Now this group of ministers is headed by Union Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah, and this group of ministers approved the proposal on the debt transfer from Air India to SPV, that is Special Purpose Vehicle. Now recently Air India was in news because of certain other facts. Recently Air India became the first airline to use taxi boat. Apart from that, recently Air India was in news as it had the first flight over North Pole from Delhi to San Francisco. What is India's projected growth rate as per the first advanced estimates of GDP growth for 2019-20? Recently, the government released the first advanced estimate of GDP growth expectations. And as per the government data, the economy is going to grow at 5%. Now, this is a massive downgrade from the projected economic growth by Economic Survey. As per the Economic Survey, the expected economic growth was approximately 7%. But as per the government data, it is going to be around 5%. And last year, the growth was around 6.8%. So there is a downgrade in the growth. Now, if we talk about GDP, it is gross domestic product. So it is, in simplest term, it is the money value of all the final goods and services produced in the domestic, that means within India, in a year. So it is the gross value of all the goods and all the services produced within the domestic boundary of country in a year. Now this is GDP. If GDP is calculated at prevalent prices, that means current prices, it is GDP at current prices. And if GDP is estimated on the basis of some fixed prices of past, then it is GDP at constant prices. Now let me ask you a simple question. In which case GDP is going to be higher? Means GDP at current price or GDP at constant price? According to IMD, the Arabian Sea on India's west coast saw approximately 400% rise in cyclones, and this is a record which is repeated only after 1902. Now, what are those 5 cyclones that hit the Arabian Sea in 2019? Right answer is Vayu, Hikka, Kyar, Maha and Pawan. So this is Arabian Sea and this is Bay of Bengal. Now recently IMD, that is India Meteorological Department, released a report, and as per that report, the cyclones in Arabian Sea saw a 400% rise than the normal frequency. Usually the west coast of India normally undergoes only one cyclone annually, but this time there was a increment. These are the 5 cyclones that hit the Arabian Sea in 2019. Now it should be kept in mind that the Bay of Bengal, which is usually more cyclone prone coast of India as compared to western side, had 3 cyclones this year, and these 3 cyclones are Pabuk, Poni and Bulbul. Now if we talk about IMD, it is India Meteorological Department. The headquarters of IMD is in New Delhi and it was founded in 1875. The present DG of IMD is Dr. Mrityunjay Mohapatra, and IMD is under Ministry of Earth Sciences. If we talk about Ministry of Earth Sciences, recently Ministry launched Red Atlas map. Now this map was prepared by Ministry of Earth Sciences to help Tamil Nadu government in the effective flood mitigation in Chennai. Apart from that, the Ministry of Earth Sciences was also in news as recently it launched Gemini device. Now this device will disseminate information about the emergency situations on disaster warnings to the fishermen. Usually when fishermen go for fishing, the mobile doesn't work there. Why? Because there is no tower, and that's why they do not get information about any upcoming disaster or any cyclone or any tsunami. So that's why this device has been launched, and this is connected to India's GPS navigation system. So this is going to send information to fishermen during the disasters. Now the full form of this Gemini is Gagan Enabled Mariner's Instrument for Navigation and Information. Now if we talk about Gagan, it is GPS aided Geo Augmentation Navigation. GPS stands for Global Positioning System. So it is a step by India towards satellite based navigation services in our country. Election Commission recently declared 8th February as the date of assembly elections in Delhi. Now the question is, what is the total number of seats in Delhi Legislative Assembly? So there are 70 seats, and recently Election Commission announced the date of elections in Delhi. So elections are going to be on 8th of February and counting will be on 11th of February. Now for Delhi elections, voter slips will have QR code for the faster verification and identification. Apart from that, if we talk about Election Commission, it is a constitutional body, and Article 324 of the Constitution contains the provision for establishment of Election Commission of India. Now it was formed on 25th of January in 1950, and that's why 25th of January is celebrated as National Voters Day. Now Election Commission was also in news as recently it launched a PPR TMS. PPR TMS stands for political parties registration tracking management system. So this will be helpful for the political parties to track the status of their application. Apart from that, Election Commission of India was also in news, as Election Commission of India is going to establish a visiting chair in the memory of former Chief Election Commissioner Mr. T.N. Seshan. Mr. Seshan passed away recently. If we talk about present Chief Election Commissioner, he is Mr. Sunil Arora. And other two election commissioners are Mr. Ashok Lavasa and Mr. Sushil Chandra. The Northeast Natural Gas Pipeline Grid is being implemented by joint venture of 5 Indian central public sector undertakings. Now, the question is, what is the name of this joint venture firm? Right answer is IGGL, that is Indradhanush Gas Grid Limited. So, Northeast Gas Grid is a project that is implemented by IGGL, and it is a joint venture of 5 central PSU. These 5 PSUs are GAIL, IOCL, ONGC, OIL and NRL, and it will cover the 8 states of Northeast region. That means Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, Sikkim and Tripura. Now, Northeast region was also in news because of CAA. This Citizenship Amendment Act will not be applicable to the areas of 6th schedule as well as areas under ILP. ILP stands for Inner Line Permit. Now, if we talk about areas under 6th schedule, 4 states are under 6th schedule. These are ATMM, that is Assam, Tripura, Mizoram and Meghalaya. It should be kept in mind that Manipur is not a part of 6th schedule. On the other hand, ILP is Inner Line Permit, and recently Manipur was brought under ILP. So total 4 states are under ILP now, and all these 4 states, this is an easy trick to remember this, that all these 4 states share border boundary with Myanmar. So these states are Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. Now coming back to the CAA, recently Kerala became the first state to pass a resolution against CAA. A special video related to CAA has already been uploaded, you can watch that. The recently approved Mineral Laws Amendment Ordinance has done away with so-called captive and use criteria of which natural resource. Right answer is coal. Captive and use means this can be used for only specific purpose. So recently Union Cabinet approved this Mineral Laws Amendment Ordinance, and this ordinance will amend Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act, that is MMDRA. This act is an act of 1957. In addition to that, this ordinance is also going to amend Coal Mines Special Provisions Act of 2015, and this ordinance will ease rules for auctioning of coal mines, and it will open up to all sectors. That means it has done away with the captive and use criteria. Previously, it was a criteria that if you are going to use coal for the specific purpose, then only you will be allocated a coal block. However, now this criteria has been done away with. Now, coming back to coal, recently for the sustainable coal mining, the Ministry of Coal decided to establish Sustainable Development Cell. Apart from that, recently Coal Ministry was also in news, as recently Prakash Portal was launched. Answer in comment box, what is the objective of this Prakash Portal? This portal has been developed by NTPC. For how many times India has emerged as winner in the Malaysia Masters Badminton Tournament since it began in 2009? Right answer is 3. So India has emerged winner in the Malaysia Masters Badminton Tournament for 3 times since its inception in 2009. So Miss PV Sindhu won it in 2013 and in 2016, while Miss Saina Nehwal won it in 2017. Now why this thing was in news? It was in news because this year B. Sai Praneeth has been knocked out from the tournament. Now if we talk about Malaysia, the capital of Malaysia is Kuala Lumpur, and recently Malaysia was in news as the last surviving Sumatran rhino in Malaysia died, and with this Sumatran rhinos became extinct in Malaysia. The name of this Sumatran rhino was Iman. Apart from that, recently world's oldest rhino died in Tanzania, and the name of this rhino was Fosta. Tanzania is a African country. Now coming back to Malaysia, Malaysia was also in news as it has reported the first case of polio in last 27 years. Apart from that, Malaysia was also in news as Pakistan, Turkey and Malaysia decided to jointly launch Islamic TV channel. Malaysia was also in news as last year it joined ICC. ICC stands for International Criminal Court. It is backed by Rome Statute. It should be kept in mind that India is not a party of ICC. Recently, the government of India has issued revised guidelines for mutual legal assistance in criminal matters with other nations. At present, that means as of January 2020, India has mutual legal assistance treaties with how many countries? Right answer is 42. So India has mutual legal assistance treaties with 42 countries. Now it should be kept in mind that for this purpose, MHA is the central designated authority. And recently, the guidelines related to mutual legal assistance treaty was revised, and that's why this thing was in news. Now, if we talk about mutual legal assistance treaty, it is an agreement between two or more countries for the purpose of gathering and exchanging information to enforce civil or criminal laws. As the name suggests, both countries are going to mutually assist each other in the legal issues. January 9 is celebrated as the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas every year, in which year Mahatma Gandhi ji returned from South Africa to India on this date. That means on 9th of January, Gandhi ji returned from South Africa to India, and that's why Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated. So Gandhi ji returned to India in 1915, and that's why Pravasi Bharatiya Divas event is organized, and it is organized by Ministry of External Affairs, and it is organized every year since 2003. So 2020 was the 16th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. If we talk about MEA, present Minister is Dr. S. Jaishankar and present Foreign Secretary is Mr. V.K. Gokhale. Recently, next Foreign Secretary was announced, and Mr. Harshvardhan Shringla is going to be the next Foreign Secretary. Web-based portal called Parivesh is associated to which Indian ministry? So it is associated to Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Present minister is Mr. Prakash Javadekar, and this is a portal for submitting the request for environmental clearances. Now, if we talk about few other portals which were in news recently, Rajasthan launched Jan Suchna portal. This portal aims to provide information to the citizens about the government initiatives. Apart from that, recently Uttar Pradesh government launched a web portal and app. It is e-Ganna app and portal, and this is for sugarcane farmers. Apart from that, UP was also in news as India's first transgender university will be in UP in Kushinagar. In addition to that, recently one more portal was in news. It is Kartavya portal, and this is a portal by MHRD, that is Ministry of Human Resource Development. Present minister is Mr. Ramesh Nishank, and MHRD launched this portal for holding monthly essay competitions for students. Which bank has recently announced the residential builder finance with buyer guarantee scheme? Right answer is State Bank of India. So recently State Bank of India has announced a residential builder finance with buyer guarantee scheme. This scheme aims to provide a push to residential sales and improve home buyers' confidence. Now, under this scheme, SBI will issue a guarantee for completion of selected residential projects, and this guarantee will be issued to those customers who have availed home loans from SBI. So the scheme will focus on affordable housing projects priced up to 2.50 crore rupees, and it is limited to 10 cities initially. So this residential building finance with buyer guarantee scheme is a scheme of State Bank of India, and State Bank of India is the first bank in India to launch green car loan. And recently, Shanghai branch of SBI became the first Bank of India to be connected with China's NAPS. NAPS stands for National Advanced Payment System. Madhavpur Mela is famous attraction of which state of India? So it is a famous Mela of Gujarat, and this year 8 states of Northeast are going to participate in this Mela. Now, if we talk about Gujarat, recently Gujarat was in news as KVIC launched first silk processing plant at Surendranagar district in Gujarat, and this will help in the faster production of patola sarees. Gujarat was also in news as India's first maritime museum is going to be in Lothal in Gujarat. In addition to that, recently the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Vijay Rupani, inaugurated second tallest statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. The first statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the tallest statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is in Narmada district of Gujarat. How many routes have been identified by NITI Aayog and Indian Railways towards running private trains in India? Right answer is 100. So recently NITI Aayog and Indian Railways have released a discussion paper for running 150 trains on 100 routes by private operators. So total 100 routes have been selected by NITI Aayog and Indian Railways for private trains. Now, if we talk about NITI Aayog, recently NITI Aayog was in news because of few reports. Recently NITI Aayog released School Education Quality Index. Kerala is on top position and Uttar Pradesh is the worst performer in the big states as per this School Education Quality Index. Apart from that, NITI Aayog was also in news because of India Innovation Index, and this was the first index, and as per this index, Karnataka is on top position. Apart from that, NITI Aayog was also in news as recently it released the second edition of SDG India Index. SDG stands for Sustainable Development Goals, and this was the second edition and it was based on 16 out of 17 SDG. And as per this index, Kerala is on top in terms of big states, while Kerala is followed by Himachal Pradesh. Bihar is the worst performer as per this SDG index. Now I have uploaded a special video on SDG India Index. You can watch that. Which country has recently proposed a global electricity grid? Right answer is India. So recently Prime Minister Mr. Modi mooted an idea of global electricity grid. So this grid plans to leverage solar power generated in one country, and this can be utilized by the electricity demands of other nations. So India is in talks with World Bank for the implementation of this global electricity grid. So a grid will be connected between different countries, and the surplus solar power from one country can be utilized by other country with the help of this grid. According to a statement of Lok Sabha Speaker Mr. Om Birla, in which year India will hold its parliament session in new parliament building? Right answer is 2022. So as per the statement of Lok Sabha Speaker, India will hold its parliament session in new parliament building in 2022, and 2022 is special for us because India will complete 75 years of independence in 2022. In that year, India is going to be the host of G20 summit. Apart from that, India will also host the conference of Interpol. Interpol stands for International Police. CBI represents India in Interpol. Now, if we talk about Lok Sabha Speaker Mr. Om Birla, he is present Speaker of Lok Sabha and his constituency is Kota Bundi in Rajasthan. And recently, Rajasthan was in news as first Janta Clinic of Rajasthan was launched in Jaipur. With which European country India has signed mobility pact that would allow skilled workers, students and academics from two countries to live and work in each other countries? Right answer is France. So recently Indian cabinet approved the mobility pact with France, and it would allow skilled workers, students and academics from two countries to live and work in each other's country. This agreement was signed between these two countries during the visit of French President Mr. Emmanuel Macron to India in 2018. Now it should be kept in mind that France is yet to ratify this pact. Now if we talk about France, France was the host of G7 summit in 2019, and this year, that means in 2020, USA is going to be the host of G7 summit. USA was also in news because of Space Force, as recently US President Mr. Donald Trump gave approval for the establishment of Space Force. USA was also in news as recently military commander of Iran General Qasem Soleimani, was killed in US airstrikes near Baghdad airport. If we talk about Iran, capital of Iran is Tehran, and recently Iran was in news as Iran announced that it is no longer going to follow the limits set by JCPOA. JCPOA is a nuclear deal between Iran and P5+1. P5 stands for Permanent Members of United Nations Security Council and 1 stands for Germany. The full form of JCPOA is Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Currently, India charges what fraction of AGR, that is Adjusted Gross Revenues, as license fee from telecom operators? Right answer is 8%. So India levies license fees of 8% of AGR from telecom license holder. Now what exactly is this AGR? AGR is the spectrum usage charges, and it is the licensing fees that telecom operators are charged by Department of Telecommunications. So telecom companies need to pay this fee to the Department of Telecommunications for using the spectrum. Which city is to host the annual World Economic Forum? Right answer is Davos. So World Economic Forum held annually at Davos. If we talk about Davos, it is in Switzerland. If we talk about World Economic Forum, it was established in 1971. It is not-for-profit organization and the headquarters of World Economic Forum is in Geneva in Switzerland. Now recently, World Economic Forum was also in news because of gender gap report. As per this report, India is on 112nd position, while Bangladesh is on 50th position, and it is the top performing country in the South Asian region. This gender gap report is prepared on the 4 indicators. These are political participation, economic participation, education, and health. Now, it should be kept in mind, India is performing well in case of political participation. However, in case of economic participation and health, India is worst performer. So these were the important questions of today's quiz. Thank you, and that's all for the day.